You ever get that feeling, that deep, kind of constant sense of unease, like something's always missing? Well, we're going to dig into a really profound diagnosis of our modern world. And the crazy part? It came from someone who is a complete outsider. And what he saw is, well, it's pretty startled.
So get this. This quote comes from a conversation the famous psychologist Carl Jung had with a Native American chief. And this chief, he wasn't just making some offhand comment. He was basically diagnosing the so-called civilized people he met. And his conclusion is as simple as it is unsettling. They're always seeking, and it looks like madness.
And that, right there, is the big question, isn't it? What was so blindly obvious to an outsider that we just can't seem to see in ourselves? And what does it even mean to be always seeking? So much so that someone would look at you and think, wow, they're mad. And this wasn't just some vague vibe he was picking up on. No, he saw it, like physically. He said it was etched right onto their faces. You could see the tension, the way their eyes were always staring forward, a kind of harshness in how they carried themselves. Their body language was basically screaming that there was this deep turmoil going on inside.
And this is really the heart of what he saw. It's not a worry that comes and goes. It's a permanent undercurrent, a kind of constant background hum of restlessness that just defines the modern experience. It's that feeling, that you can never quite get there, that you can never really truly be at peace. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, this sounds like a modern problem, a product of our crazy, fast-paced digital world. But what if I told you this exact same diagnosis is literally thousands of years old? Yeah, you heard that right. This is an ancient diagnosis. Just think about this for a second. 500 years apart, on totally opposite sides of the world, two of the most influential spiritual teachers in history pinpointed the exact same human problem. Jesus looked at his followers and asked, "Why are you always anxious?" The Buddha taught that the root of all our suffering is constant wanting and craving. Different words, sure, but they're describing the exact same state of always seeking.
So let's be clear. This isn't a new problem. It's a timeless one. What that Native American chief saw has been a core part of the human struggle for millennia. The only real difference is that today, our civilization has basically put this restlessness on steroids. It's been amplified to a level nobody's ever seen before. It's constant and it's acute.
So how does this happen? How does this individual, internal feeling of restlessness scale up to become the very foundation of an entire civilization? How does our inner chaos create the outer world that we all live in?
The source material we're looking at calls this a collective dysfunction, and it all boils down to two key things. First, we have this deep resistance to the present moment, to the now. We're always trying to get to the next thing. And second, we've lost touch with our sense of being. That deeper feeling of stillness and connection that's always there, underneath all the noise in our heads.
And here's how that snowballs. It all starts inside, with losing that connection to being. That loss creates this constant itch, this urge to escape the present moment. So what happens when you build an entire society based on that need for escape? Well, you get a civilization that is, by its very design, dehumanized and relentlessly, endlessly restless.
It's really interesting. Another brilliant modern mind also saw this societal sickness playing out. His name was Sigmund Freud. He even wrote a whole book about it. But the thing is, his diagnosis just didn't go deep enough.
So let's put these two views side by side. Both Freud and these ancient teachings saw the exact same thing, this constant unease humming beneath the surface of civilization. But here's the kicker. Freud, he couldn't really figure out why. The deeper diagnosis, though, points right to our loss of connection with being. And that one difference changes everything. For Freud, this unease was just the price you pay for being civilized. There's no escape. But for the other view, freedom from it isn't just possible. It's the whole point.
Okay, so why does any of this matter? What are the actual stakes here? Well, a civilization built on restlessness isn't just a little unhappy. The consequences are real and they are absolutely enormous. When an entire society is driven by this constant wanting, and this inability to just be present, the results are, well, they're catastrophic. It creates deep, widespread unhappiness. That unhappiness then fuels extraordinary violence as we all fight over whatever it is we're seeking. A civilization like this doesn't just become a threat to itself, it becomes a threat to everything.
It becomes a threat to all life on Earth. Think about that. This constant need for more stuff, more power, more distractions, all at the expense of the here and now, has put our entire planet at risk. This isn't just some philosophical idea, it's an existential crisis.
And so that brings us right back to the beginning, doesn't it? We turn the chief's question back on ourselves. In our world of endless scrolling, nonstop notifications, and this relentless pressure to achieve, what are we all seeking? And is it possible, just possible, that in our frantic search we've completely missed the piece that was right here the whole time?